Alright YouTube, so we are back of course with some Fallout content to talk about Fallout 76. One of the biggest complaints surrounding this game when it initially came out, outside of the performance of course, was the lack of NPCs, of non-playable characters. This was something that I actually didn't mind because I like the idea of a very barren, desolate wasteland, right? There's no people, it's just you and other players. I enjoyed the concept of it, and it could have been a development thing more than likely. The game was rushed. There's no denying that. We can tell by the performance, the lack of content, the lack of things to do. The fact that the game came out in 3 years or so, right? It came out in 2018. Fallout 4 came out in 2015. And it took them 8 years to make Fallout 4, right? So how the hell did they possibly get this game out in such a quick amount of time? It was definitely rushed. That could have been the reason, but at the very least, they had an in-game reason as to why there were no NPCs. I believe it was the Scourge virus or something like that. I don't exactly know the lore of Fallout 76. I didn't play through the entire story, but I believe that the Scourge virus or plague or whatever the hell it is what killed all the NPCs in the story. But it doesn't change the fact that this was a problem for a lot of people. I didn't really care. It didn't really bother me. I was playing with my friends anyway, and I didn't mind questing alone. It didn't really affect me for a while until I put probably 20, 30 hours into the game, and I started realizing, it is kind of boring. Even when you're playing by yourself, even if there's a lot of quests and things to do, and maybe you're playing with other people, you do notice the lack of people and having to have all the dialogue and everything given to you through notes and terminals and this, that, or the other. So it's kind of nice earlier this year at E3 when they announced the Wastelanders update, which would add human NPCs to the game. And they're not just nameless NPCs walking around just to fill the world. You actually get quests from them. You can be able to talk to them. And there's actually a dialogue tree and all that stuff. It was a legitimate, good-looking update for the game that's going to really overhaul the game and potentially bring a good amount of players back just because it can feel like an actual Fallout game. And it's supposed to come out sometime this year for year 2 of the game, which would put it coming out in November, December, something like that. And it's actually been delayed to 2020. And with this delay, you get the usual spiel of we're doing it to make it the best update ever, we want it to be the best quality ever. The same thing you hear whenever they delayed Doom Eternal or pretty much any other update for any game gets delayed or release date for a game gets delayed. They want it to be the best ever. You also got to kind of laugh at them saying they wanted to hit their quality bar and ours, which obviously, this game, every update has been just as broken as the last, right? It seems like when they come out with a new update, it breaks more stuff. So if they're trying to hit their quality bar, that's not a good sign for this update. And just in general, right? Bethesda games, as good as they are, as fun as they are to play, they're usually pretty broken games. They're usually launched with tons of bugs and need to be patched all to hell, and sometimes still perform shitty. More than likely with this being delayed, it's obviously they do want it to be as good as it can possibly be, but it's probably just not going to be ready for the release date of November, December, whatever is going to come out. I don't think we had an actual release date yet for it. It probably just wasn't going to be ready. And honestly, it kind of sucks for those Fallout 76 players out there, because this has kind of been, since E3, that beacon of hope in the distance, man. They've been, clinging onto this, they're finally adding human NPCs to the game. You people can't complain, man. They're finally doing that. This is what you wanted, they're adding to the game. And now it's being delayed for another couple of months, and who knows exactly when it's going to come out in Q1 of 2020. And let's assume that it's going to come out at the end of Q1, April of 2020. That's going to put it at human NPCs being added to Fallout 76 about a year and a half after the game came out. That's the audience for this game. I said it in one of my recent Fallout 76 videos. The audience for this game has pretty much left. And this game was so widely panned whenever it came out that more than likely it's never really going to get an audience back. There's some games out there, for example, No Man's Sky. They had a big update, turned it around, they released it on Xbox, and it actually turned the game around and brought a lot of people back to it. But that doesn't very often happen. And with how widely panned this game was through the later half of 2018 and the beginning of 2019, it was one of the worst launches of a game ever. I just don't know if it's one of those games that's ever going to get a big audience back to it. It's always going to have those dedicated players, but no matter if they add human NPCs, questing, dialogue trees, all this other stuff, I just don't really see it ever really making a comeback. And to be honest, that was pretty much going to be the end of the video. We're here to just really talk about Wastelanders being delayed. That's what all the articles were talking about, but on the Bethesda.net post about the delay, they actually mentioned that private servers are actually coming to the game next week, which is big news, obviously. That's private servers coming to the game in less than a year. But there is a downside. And that downside is a big one, because according to this article on Bethesda.net, it's going to cost money. It literally says, our goal for players who choose to purchase this service. Something that should absolutely be fucking free for the game. With how so poorly this game was received, they have the audacity to add something to the game that players have been wanting since the game first came out. Private server, somewhere where you can play it by yourself, essentially having a single-player Fallout game, right? You have a private world, no other players there unless you want to invite your friends. You can play the game essentially single player, and you have a essentially single player Fallout game. They have the audacity to charge for this. It honestly doesn't matter the cost. It doesn't matter if it's $1, if it's $10, if it's $20, if you can buy with atoms also. It does not matter. The fact that they are charging for it is absolutely pathetic. I want to see, I'm going to look out, I'm going to watch some of these Bethesda apologists, some of these channels out there that strictly do Fallout 76 content. It's the greatest game ever. I want to see them talk about them charging for private servers. I want to see if people are actually out there trying to defend this shit. I don't give a shit that the article says you can also mod these worlds once mods come to the game. Who gives a shit? Why are you charging? The craziest part about this to me is that this is actually a slap in the face to the people that are still playing this game. The people who, for whatever reason, are still playing Fallout 76 almost a year later. They find enjoyment with it. They're Bethesda fanboys, whatever the case. Whatever makes them want to continue playing Fallout 76. They're coming out with private servers for those guys that want to have that kind of almost single-player-esque experience for this game. And they're like, give us your money for that also. It's still $20 for bullshit over here in the Atomic Shop, but also pay for private servers. Which then also means that technically you will be paying to have mods for your game, because whether or not the mods are actually going to cost money, we have no idea yet. More than likely, there's going to be some sort of Creation Club bullshit or something like that. You're having to pay for private servers, which is where you're going to be able to mod the game. So you're essentially going to have to pay to mod the game. I don't think that Bethesda is that inept. I don't think that they're stupid. I think what they're trying to do is get as much money as they can out of this game. It probably cost them a lot of money to make, right? It probably cost a couple millions of dollars or whatever to make this game, to develop all the stuff for this game, the servers they have to, pay for every single day to keep live or whatever. It's probably a very expensive game, and they're trying to get every dollar they can out of it before the player base eventually goes away, because it's going to happen eventually. I didn't mean for this to be a ranty video here towards the end. I wasn't going into this just to shit on Fallout 76 and Bethesda. I just wanted to talk about the Wastelanders update being delayed and how much that is kind of a detriment, right? But I didn't even know going into this initially the private servers were even coming next week, much less that it's going to cost money, that you have to purchase it. It's a service. I initially had a completely different plan for the end of this video with talking about, the future of the channel, Final Fantasy VII Remake, future Fallout content, all this other stuff. But we got a little ranty. The video's already like 6-something minutes. It's going to be like 7 minutes by the time it's all over. So we're just going to kind of wrap it up. What are your thoughts on this? Wastelanders is being delayed until next year. So is Doom Eternal. And now you're also going to have private servers next week. But it's going to cost you some money. What is going on with this game? What is going on with Bethesda lately? Goddamn. Such a downfall from the studio that I developed my channel around initially. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new and want to stay up to date with more Fallout content, Fallout 76 rants. I don't know what's going on. Turn on my notifications. Follow me on Twitter at @TheDashingDavid. I'm a Discord. Links to my social networks are in the description and in the outro. Later, guys. Give me forever for a while, give me forever for a while, quit acting